Good morning, everyone. Let me start this session with my PhD topic, which is about novel prognostic prediction methodologies in childhood cancer. My name is Petra Varga. I'm a PhD student and pediatric resident, and my supervisor is Esther Tuboy. I have a vision to modernize clinical care and research support in pediatric oncology, and I would like to reach this by the mission of bringing in future-proof global approaches in the risk stratification of childhood cancer. I have two specific goals. The first one is to compare the prognostic accuracy of prediction models used in childhood cancer, and the second one is to build a prognostic model using machine learning. About my first topic, approximately 400,000 new children and adolescent cancer patients are discovered worldwide each year, and the survival in high-income countries is already very high. However, we still have some room for improvement. For example, the survival after relapse is significantly worse. Here you can see an example of acute lymphoblastic leukemia, which has a rather good prognosis. However, after the first relapse, only 50% of the patients survived. In order to determine the initial therapy correctly for these patients, predicting the prognosis is crucially important. The prognostic systems are already working well in case of adults. However, in the case of pediatric oncology, the rarity of the childhood cancer types makes it really difficult to develop good prognostic models, since we lack the sufficient data and the quality assured data systems for research. So now our first aim was to compare the existing prognostic models that are currently used in childhood cancer. We considered all kinds of pediatric patients with malignant tumors, and we grouped them into three categories. The first one was the non-central nervous system solid tumors, then the central nervous system tumors, and then hematological malignancies. We also had three distinct categories of the prediction models. The first one uses only conventional clinical data. The second one harnesses the advantage of next-generation sequencing, so they use robust genetic transcriptomic data for the models. And the third category uses the same kind of data. However, during the establishment of the model, some kind of artificial intelligence methodology is used. Our hypothesis was that the new generation models will perform better, especially the artificial intelligence-based ones. I have conducted my systematic search at the end of November 2022, and after the selection and reference checking, I had around 300 articles eligible. This high number of articles provided us with a lot of different outcomes. The primary one was the area under the receiver operating characteristic curve, which gives us information about the sensitivity and specificity of the models. And we had also a secondary outcome, which was the concordance index. And we carried out three kinds of subgroup analysis as well. The first one was based on the type of validation, which could be internal, external, or composite. And the second one was based on whether any kind of detail or the success or failure of the treatment was considered as a prognostic factor, since this can pose some bias. And since there were some specific data sets that were very commonly used and present in several articles, we tried to compare them, whether any factor of the data set could give advantage to the researchers in building the model. Now I will show you one example of my plots. This is the biggest and most complex one, because it is the 5-year overall survival that is the most commonly used outcome when predicting the prognosis and deciding the protocol that will be used. And on this plot you can see the subgroup analysis that I mentioned before. And this plot is about the non-central nervous system solid tumor patients only. So in the table I have highlighted the subgroups that had enough articles to have statistically analyzed. And we could show here two very important, both clinically relevant and statistically significant differences. The first one was based on the model category. You can see in the first two rows that the only difference between these subgroups is the model category, and that the category 2 models performed significantly better than the category 1 models, so that the more modern and more robust genetic data could predict the prognosis more precisely than the conventional clinical one. And I have to add here that we also compared the category 2 and 3 models. And what we saw was that there was no significant difference between them, even though that we had much less articles available for category 3, since it's only in the very early steps of development. but it already performed as well as the category 2 models. The other important difference was between the validation types. You can see the second and third row that the difference between these groups is the internal and external validation. And the difference was that the internal validation group studies performed better than the external validation ones. But this does not mean that we should use internal validation, since the external one is much more objective and it rules out a lot of bias and confounding. And the importance of our result is that this can mean a significant, statistically significant, false positive result for the internal validation articles. I think the biggest strength of our project is that we provide a really broad overview of a lot of types of childhood cancer through a high number of articles and outcomes, and we have a very detailed subgroup analysis. But we do have limitations. I would highlight the heterogeneity of the prognostic models. For practice and for clinicians, we would suggest to pursue the collection of standardized data on an international level in order to help the researchers build more accurate models. And for using the models, we suggest the more modern and more robust data-based ones that have various data types and a lot of patients in order to predict the prognosis more precisely and to improve individualized precision care. For research, we suggest to build models using standardized quality-assured databases and to validate these models on independent datasets to minimize bias, and that we should explore the field of artificial intelligence more because it's really promising already. Currently, I'm in the middle of writing the manuscript. We plan to finish it in February. To move on to my second project, we saw that the AI models perform really well regarding the accuracy, but only a few studies are currently available. This is probably due to the lack of large databases in pediatric oncology. And one solution that we saw in the literature to overcome this problem is to train the model on adults and to validate it on children. However, if you compare the first and second figure, you can see that the accuracy is significantly worse in the second case, and the second figure is about this adult training set and children validation set. So we think that we should rather harness the data advantage of national registries and try to build our own prognostic model for childhood cancer using machine learning. First, we plan to use the Hungarian Pediatric Oncology Network Registry. We also have an industry partner, Turbine AI, who will help us with the AI parts of the project. And we will have additional data sets through the BBMRI biobank catalog. We have already started working with the Hungarian registry. We will focus on neuroblastoma and central nervous system tumor patients. And we have collected their clinical data, and we matched these clinical data with molecular genomic data from the Department of Pathology. And we had both kinds of data available, and we have organized this data for 26 patients already. And we have decided what outcomes we will try to predict using the artificial intelligence. So we are in the middle of doing the statistical analysis plan, and the data analysis will start with these 26 patients. And meanwhile, the AI is working on that. We will start to retrieve the data from the additional data sets. To sum up, I would like to finish both of my projects by this summer. And I thank you for your attention with a quote: "The difficulty lies not so much in developing new ideas as in escaping from old ones."
Petra, thank you so much.
Could you list a couple of examples for tools in the third category of your models, so that what you called AI or machine learning or something like that? So what specific models are there in that category?
I think the most common one, that was a really good example for artificial intelligence, is the support vector machine and the network matrix. I think these were the most common ones, but this was a very diverse field because so there were altogether not that many articles, and they used a lot of different methodologies. So yeah, but I think these two were the most common ones that were really classic. And yeah, and the random forest, I think that was the third most common, I believe.
I would like to ask about the first topic and your secondary outcome, the C index. I would be interested, what variables did you have to extract from the articles to pull this outcome?
So we had to pull the concordance index itself, and if available, the confidence interval or standard error. But in many cases, and this was a very, so this is why my project is going so slow, because in a lot of articles we didn't have the confidence interval, neither for concordance index nor for the AUC. So we had to extract the patient numbers, the dead and alive or event, no event patient numbers, and calculate from that. And sometimes these were not available, and we had to extract the Kaplan-Meier curves and have the patient numbers from them and then calculate the confidence interval.
So from Kaplan-Meiers you can go all the way to the AUC for and concordance index for both of them?
No, only the confidence interval or standard error for the concordance index or AUC.
Thank you.
As I understood well, in the first project, the second model performed better than the third one.
No, only performed better than the first one and similarly to the third one.
Similar, okay, but originally your hypothesis was that the best performance is expected from the third one. Okay, did you present it clear that your original hypothesis wasn't proved?
I would say it's difficult to say because there is that it's not proved. In the classical sense, it's not proved because it's not better. It's only similar. But I think that so I have calculated for the article exactly, but I don't remember the exact numbers. But for the category 2 models, we had around 170 articles or something like that. So significantly more, and only 37 from the category 3. So I think our hypothesis is mostly rejected because of the lack of the articles. So we expected that we will have more articles using AI already when we thought that it will perform better.
So it was against the expectation that too low number of the adequate paper which would be able to prove the AI superiority over the older one. Okay. So this is a big challenge that we expect from the modern technology, some better performance, and unfortunately it's probably no time yet to prove this concept.
Yes.
Okay.